Today we are going to render this Alixis Mabille taffeta dress. It's pretty hard, but it's the same concept on Procreate as it is if you use ink. So you can see it either way. I have my outline made. I make it a reference layer, like I showed you previously. I add a new layer. I take my selector tool on automatic and I select the areas I want my base color. This is a gold yellowish dress, so I'm gonna take a pale yellow that I thought was matching pretty well as the base color. I just drag and drop. If you use ink, you just color it all in, no shading yet. Everything that needs to be gold gets filled in. And it's not a work of art, it's just a quick sketch. So don't stress about it. And bear with me, of course. So I'm gonna take my soft brush and I'm gonna take, it's a few values darker than the pale yellow. It's like a mustard. And I just use the soft brush where the shading would be. And you know, I still have it on my selector tool on automatic. That means you can't color outside the lines. And I like the soft brush because it spreads it out and it makes it a lot easier and a lot less messy. I'm taking a much darker tone now, a brown, reddish brown, and I'm gonna fill in the darkest part of the dress where I have folds and shadows. This is just my basic shading. The real shading of taffeta is later on, and it's a little bit of a drudgery, I have to warn you already. But once you have it down, you can basically render any fabric because it is by far the hardest fabric. Once you know the rules, it's super easy. Well, it's not super easy, but you know what I mean. Bear with me. I have now done a basic shading, and I always do that on the sides of the body and where the folds are in the fabric. What I just did here was to remove the outline on my color layer. I don't like any lines, but I'm gonna highlight it a little bit here, low light it is a better word, where the folds in the fabric are so I can find them later on. Otherwise they might disappear and that wouldn't be good. I am blending it in with the smudge tool. If you're using ink, I would just take the dark brown on a ruler and then use my yellow ink pen to get the same smudge effect. I'm smudging, I'm focusing on the skirt. And I'm just gonna color in so I have this, and then I'm gonna smudge it out later, just so it won't disappear, because the skirt will need a lot of work. And it's really nice to see where it starts and where it ends. And also, if you see the real dress, I'll add a picture of it later. The lining is actually very glittery and gold, so it's pretty important to know exactly where the lining starts and the main part of the dress ends. Just smudging it all out, like so. I hope you're with me. And like so. And just remember, I'm doing it as fast as I possibly can, but it's just a sketch, it's not artwork. And I'm just gonna do where the fabric are hemmed together. I'm gonna do some folds up here. Just correct that one. Here you go. And I'm gonna smudge it out, and I'm gonna show you why I do that later on, so it makes sense. I'm just gonna accentuate the dark folds again because I smudged it a little bit too much. And it's kind of nice to have it smudged out and then in the middle of it have a much deeper brown, because that will make make the fabric look more alive, and the indentation will look a little deeper, like so. Make sure I have the fold by the breast, a little bit of shadow in there, a little bit of shadow over there. I'm gonna blend it in, like so. And like so. Try to make it look natural. Still missing the belt. I'll do that last thing. It takes 1 second. A little bit shade. It's not really, the top isn't creased or very voluminous. It's mostly the lower part of the skirt, like here. And here we go. This is pretty tough. So I'm gonna make very visible lines of where I want my folds, like this. It's gonna be pretty, but right now I'm just gonna draw what I want you to see. This is just the beginning, and I'm just going to show you the concept. So I've inserted another video just to make it easy. So if this is your fabric up here, you take a darker shade, darker value, and I smudge one side, but the other side has a very sharp edge, if that makes sense. So I have a sharp yellow, sharp brown, and then I'm smudging it out into the value. That will give you that illusion that we have down there, and that's what I'm doing. The darkest parts are the deepest, and the lightest are the ones that stick out the most. So I can show you what I do here is I have a fold, and then I have always double shading. So I have the smudging part, I have the sharp brown against the sharp yellow, and then I have a very faint shadow again down there, and I'm gonna make the sharp yellow line in between. That will give you an illusion, and I'm just gonna cut off the smudge over there so it looks more natural. That will give you an illusion of deep sticking out or folding in deep. Like this, for instance, if the fabric was like that, you see the part highest up would be the lightest, and the lower parts would be dark. But there has to be like a gradual degree of blending, so the value of the color scale sort of is natural. I hope this makes sense to you. If it doesn't, please write it in my comment section. I would love to do this better if I can. Like that. And I'm just gonna show you. So yes, so the deep parts are the ones up there, and the high part is up there. So basically, and you see this is not even that. So I'm gonna work on it. So I'm just gonna make some highlights to make it appear deeper, like so. A little bit of a highlight there, and then I'm gonna add maybe a little bit of a low light in the deepest part, just very little. Hold on, I'm just gonna smudge it. I use the smudge tool the whole time, and I use the soft brush there too. I'm just gonna deepen that crease in the fold, and I deepen it by darkening it a little bit. Excuse me. I'm just gonna highlight some more. It's a lot of going back and forward. I really need to zoom out a lot and zoom in a lot to make sure it looks good. See, the highlight wasn't crisp enough because it has to be sharp edge. So there you have the sharper edges. If you don't have those sharp edges and the soft edges on the other side, you won't get the same effect of the taffeta. This side, I'm just gonna make easy creases like this, blending it out a little bit, zooming in, zooming out. I'm just gonna add that extra little bit of shadow to make sure it looks like a wave in the fabric. With this thing, you just have to be patient. You have good days, you have bad days. It's a pretty time-consuming thing. It's probably one of the most time-consuming fabrics that you actually can render. That's my personal opinion. Maybe it's because I'm a very impatient person. So I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna make a shape, basically, of where I feel there would be some kind of shadow and a deep fold. And I'm gonna smudge it out, and I'm gonna leave it pretty dark in the middle, but the outskirts pretty soft. And I'm gonna highlight the bulky part that sticks out. And I'm just gonna add more lowlights here, folds. It's really about mileage, I have to say. I will say it's easier doing it on Procreate because it's so easy to delete or redo a small part. Like once you've done it in ink, you're pretty much set in stone. So, I mean, if you do use the iPad for rendering, I'm just gonna hide. I'm not super content with that bottom part down here, so I'm just gonna add some lowlights. Like so. Highlights. Lowlights. And I hope you sit and work with it while I talk, because I mean the next 2 minutes are gonna be just doing this. I try to do it as fast as I can, but you know how I feel like I hate the long tutorials. So I hope I'm not losing you guys. But here, if I'm zooming in, you can see what I'm doing. You can easily see that the crisp yellow part is coming out at you, and the other part is going back. And I'm just gonna do a little crease. So, sometimes it's good to leave it for a little while and then go back to the problem areas. I'm just gonna make a very easy one here. Blend it in, keep the sharp edges. I use the studio pen for the creases. And then mostly I use the soft brush on Procreate. Here I'm just gonna make a small little indentation. The bigger the darker part is, the bigger the hole seems to be. And I mean, this could be a little bit of a cave looking indentation. I'm not sure I love it, but I'm gonna save your time. So I'm just gonna quickly do the belt. As you see, I did a new layer. And I used the selector tool, automatic, and picked it. I put the reference layer back on, so I could pick it. You can't pick it if your reference layer isn't back on. And I'm just quickly gonna fix the belt of this Alixis Mabille dress, spring 18. So now I'm gonna do the pearls. I took a new layer, added the gray outline that they have, and now I'm just quickly gonna draw all the little white beads. It's beading and sparkles. So I'm just really quickly gonna do white beading like so. I hope you're following me and doing something at the same time, because otherwise you will be utterly bored, and I hope you're not. Any feedback is more than welcome. And you know, you can see a lot of my stuff on my website, annikamortensen.com. Otherwise, please subscribe to this channel, and I totally take requests. So if there's something you would like to know that maybe I can assist with, let me know. And if you are really great at this as well, if there's something you think I could learn, I would love to have that information as well. Especially if you're also into the digital rendering like I am at the moment. I have to say I really love doing it in ink. That's probably where I've worked the most previously. But once you start with Procreate, I mean, it just allows you to try more things out without having to redo the whole illustration, which is pretty awesome, I feel. So I'm done. I'm just gonna put in a few black beads in a second here. You know, these things take a little time. So I have to say, on Procreate's community website, they have free brushes. And there is one brush that I'm gonna use called Star Cluster. And you can download it via Dropbox from Procreate site. I use it for sparkles. Procreate has one standard brush with sparkles called Glimmer. The thing with Glimmer is it only does white. So no matter what other color you choose, it will always be white glimmer. I don't want that. I need a bit of black and other colors once in a while. So Star Cluster, if you download that brush, you can actually have the same effect as Glimmer, but using colors. Yeah, she has a little bit of jewelry in the middle. I'm just gonna quickly do that, like so. Star Cluster, I'm using white, and now I'm using some black and some white again, and I'm adding some beads. Glimmer, standard brush, white. I'm just adding it on top. And you see, you don't really see it unless you use black as well. So you really need to throw in a little bit of black glimmer as well, as you saw I did in the middle. And then you add some white again. And some sparkle. There you go. Also a standard thing in Procreate. So what we need to do now, and we're almost done, is just do the hemline. So I selected it on the selector tool, put the outline back on the reference layer. I am now adding white glimmer on the inside of the skirt on top of my yellow. I always do it on a second layer because if you regret it, you can just really delete the layer, right? So you see, I just do a splash of black and then I do white on top of that again. That will give you a much more realistic, sparkly look, like so. And I'm just gonna add my sparks of shimmer. There you go. And this is basically it. Follow me, subscribe, give me your feedback. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day.